All right, so we're gonna be looking at this in class on Friday. So whenever you watch this video, maybe you're watching it over the weekend, but I'm gonna work through a few problems and hopefully it will kind of guide and direct you as you work through them on your own. So we're looking at the volume. We're looking at the volume of cylinders, cones, and spheres. So we have three different formulas that we're going to be looking at. So for cylinders, we have volume equals the area of the base. So capital B is the area of the base times the height. And then we have the area or the volume for cones, which is the volume equals 1/3 the area of the base times the height. Again, that capital B stands for that. And the last one is spheres, which is volume equals 4/3 times pi times radius to the third power. So that is our three formulas that we're going to be looking at. So as we start, we'll just have to pick one of those and we'll be rounding our answers to the nearest tenth and using our FSS to show our work. So on number one here, we have a sphere. So we're going to be looking at the volume formula for that. And I'm just going to point out we have a radius given here of 1 meter. So let's go ahead and formula substitute solve. So we're going to pick our formula, which is volume equals 4/3 times pi times radius to the third power, or cubed. So with that, we have a radius given. That's the only unknown. So when we substitute here, we'll have 4/3 times pi times the radius, which is 1, and that's going to be raised to the third power. So with that, we're going to be putting that into our calculator. So what you'll be able to do is using the TI-84, you can push alpha y equals, enter, and then put 4/3 as your numerator and denominator, multiplied times pi, times the radius, which is 1, and then you're going to use the caret button to get an exponent, and you're going to put a 3 in. Push enter, and you will get volume equals 4.18, but that will round to 4.2 meters cubed. So that is our first answer, 4.2 meters cubed. So that is pretty straightforward. So going to number 2, we have a sphere, or sorry, not a sphere, we have a cylinder. So let's look at what they give us. They give us a diameter of 12 yards and a height of 6 yards. So when we, zoom in, when we do our FSS, we have our volume formula for a cylinder is the volume equals capital B times H. So remembering that capital B equals area of the base. So since our base is a circle, base, so we have the area is pi r squared. So anytime we see base, area of the base, we are going to type in pi r squared. So that's our substitution that we'll do is typing in, so rather than capital B, we're going to do pi times our radius. So this is where we come in, so we can't use a diameter. We need a radius, so we're going to have to cut that in half. So 12 divided by 2 is 6, so that's going to be our radius. So times 6 squared times our height, which is also 6. So when we type that out, pi times 6 squared times 6, we get 678.58, which rounds to 0.6 yards cubed. Okay. Number 3. So now we're looking at a cone. So we have this 14, which is our height, and this 14, which is our diameter. So from here, let's go ahead and formula substitute solve here. So we're looking at our volume equals 1/3 times the area of the base times the height. So again, every time we see our capital B, we're going to type in pi r squared because this is the area of a circle. So it looks like we're going to need a radius, and they gave us a diameter. So let's go ahead and find our radius. So it's going to be half of 14, which is 7. So as we substitute 1/3 times pi times the radius of 7 squared, radius squared, and then times our height of 14. So as we type that out, so on your calculator, you can type that directly in. Alpha y equals 1/3 times pi times 7 squared times 14. And that gives us an answer, gives us an answer, volume equals 718.37, which would round to 0.4, and we're looking at centimeters cubed. Number 4 here. So number 4, we have a sphere with a radius of 8 kilometers. So formula substitute solve. We have our volume is going to be 4/3 pi r cubed. So when we substitute, we'll have 4/3 times pi times the radius, which is 8, to the 3rd power. So I'm going to go ahead and show this one here. Let's go ahead and look at our calculator here. So we have alpha y equals normally, but I'm going to push alpha on this calculator. It's just alpha, and then go to here. 4/3 times pi times 8 times 8, and then we're going to do this caret raised to the 3rd power. So we're going to end with 2,144.66 or 0.7. So that leaves us with volume equals 2,144.7 kilometers cubed. All right. Going to go number 5. Okay, so we have a height of 18 and a radius of 9. So formula substitute solve. We have our volume equals 1/3 area of the base times the height. So our base is a circle, so we're going to have to substitute pi r squared there. So we have 1/3 times pi times the radius of 9 squared times the height of 18. So when we do that, we'll get 1/3 so 1/3 times pi times 9 squared times 18. 1,526.81 or 0.8 feet cubed. All right, number 6, we have a sphere with a radius of 3. So this one is pretty straightforward. We have our volume formula for a sphere, which is 4/3 pi radius cubed. So we're going to go ahead and substitute in that radius here and make sure we cube it. So I'm going to go ahead and show this one again on the calculator. So we got 4/3 times, make sure that you always, let's start over. Always move over. 4/3, make sure 4/3 times pi times 3 raised to the third power. And we're going to end with 113.09 or 113.1. So volume equals 113.1 miles cubed. All right, number 7. We have a cone with a 10-inch diameter and a 10-inch height as well. Okay, so formula, substitute, solve. We're looking at a cone, so that's going to be volume equals 1/3 area of the base times the height. Then we'll have our volume. Again, our base is a circle, area of the base, so area of a circle is pi r squared. So 1/3 times pi times the radius. Oh no, they didn't give us a radius, so let's figure that out. So radius is half of 10, which is 5. So times 5 squared times the height of 10. So when we multiply those out, pi times 1/3 times 5 squared times 10. We're going to end at 261.79, but that rounds to 0.8 inches cubed. Okay. Number 8, we have a height of 7 miles and a diameter of 4 miles. So when we plug those in, we're going to have a volume equals 1/3 capital B times H. So again, capital B is the area of the base. So we're going to have pi r squared for the area of our base. Since it's a circle, pi r squared is the area of a circle. And when we substitute, we're going to have 1/3 times pi times our radius. So this is a diameter, so I'm going to figure that out. Radius, so half of 4 is 2. So times 2 squared times our height, which is 7. So 1/3 times pi times 2 squared times 7. We're going to end at 29.32, or to the nearest tenth, we're going to have 29.3. And that is miles cubed. So number 9, we have a height of 20 inches and we have a radius of 10 inches. So formula, substitute, solve for our cone. We have volume equals 1/3 capital BH. Capital B is the area of the base. Our base is a circle, so whenever we do that, we're going to have to substitute in pi r squared. So from here, we have 1/3 times pi times 10, which is our radius, squared, times 20 is our height. So we'll do 1/3 times pi times 10 squared times 20. So we're going to end at 2,094.39. So that rounds to 0.4 inches cubed. Okay. Number 10. We have a cylinder with a height of 5 and a radius of also 5 centimeters. So formula, substitute, solve. The volume formula for a cylinder is volume equals area of the base times the height. So again, our base is a circle, so the area of a circle is pi r squared. So as we substitute, we'll start with pi times the radius of 5 squared times the height of 5. Then we will type that out, and we get pi times 5 squared times 5, and we get volume equals 392.69, but to the nearest tenth, we will round to 0.7 centimeters cubed. Okay, number 11. We have a sphere with a diameter of 15.8 centimeters. So formula, substitute, solve. We have volume equals 4/3 pi times radius cubed. So we need a radius, but they gave us a diameter, so we're going to have to cut that in half. So 15.8 divided by 2. 15.8 divided by 2 is 7.9. So we can substitute that right into our formula. 4/3 times pi times 7.9 to the third power. So let's go ahead and go to our calculator here. So alpha 4/3 times times pi times 7.9 raised to the third power. So we get 2065.2. Volume equals 2065.2 centimeters cubed. All right, so number 12, we have a cylinder with a height of 4 and a radius of 6. So formula, substitute, solve. We have the volume is equal to the area of the base times the height. Our base is a circle, so we're going to have to do the area of a circle, which is pi r squared. Volume equals pi times the radius of 6 squared times the height of 4. So type that out. We get pi times 6 squared times 4. And we end with a volume of 452.38. So that's going to round to 0.4 feet cubed. Number 13, we have a cylinder with a diameter, because it's all the way across, a diameter of 6 and a height of 8 meters. So formula, substitute, solve. We have a cylinder, so we're going to look at volume equals the area of the base times the height. So our base is obviously a circle, so whenever we're looking for the area of that, we're going to look at pi r squared. So volume equals pi times the radius. Oh no, they didn't give us a radius, they gave us a diameter, so the radius is going to be half of 6, which is 3. So 3 squared times the height of 8. So let's go pi times 3 squared times 8. And that leaves us with 226.19 rounds to 0.2 meters cubed. Okay. Number 14, we have a sphere with a diameter of 14 miles. So formula, substitute, solve. We have our sphere volume formula, which is 4/3 pi r cubed. So when we substitute in, we're going to take pi and multiply it times our radius, but they only gave us a diameter, so we're going to have to take this and cut it in half. So 14 divided by 2 is 7. So when we go to this one, we're going to go 4/3, 4/3 times pi times the radius, which was 7 raised to the third power. So 1,436.75, which will round to 4,000, which will round to 1,436.8 miles cubed. Okay. Number 15, we have a cylinder with a diameter of 12 yards and a height of 7 yards. So formula, substitute, solve. We have our volume formula, which is volume equals the area of the base times the height. So our base is a circle, so the area of a circle, remember, is pi r squared. Then we're going to have pi times the radius. So they gave us a diameter, so in order to find the radius, we're going to have to split 12 in half, and that's 6. 6 squared times our height, which is 7, and we get pi times 6 squared times 7. We get 791.68, which will round to 791.7 yards cubed. All right, one more. So we have a sphere with a diameter of 12 meters. So formula, substitute, solve. We have a sphere that has the volume formula of 4/3 pi radius cubed. And now we will have 4/3 times pi times the radius. So they didn't give us a radius, they gave us a diameter. So 12 is our diameter divided by 2 is 6 times 6 to the third power. So let's go ahead and type that in. So alpha 4/3 times pi times 6 raised to the third power. And we get 904.77, so that will round us to 904.8 meters cubed. All right, and that is number 16, and that takes us to the end, and you can see those here.